Good morning, students. I'm Jyotsna Dethi. Today we are going to learn Unit 1. Today we are going to start with Unit 1, Human Bonds. Section 1, My Big Brother. Let me ask you a few questions before we start learning this new chapter. Who is the most important person in your life? Reflect on your relationship with that person. What are the things that can cause unpleasantness in this relationship? Now, let us start with Chapter 1, My Big Brother. This story is written by Munshi Premchand. Let us know about the writer of the story. Dhanpat Rai Srivastav, better known by his pen name Munshi Premchand. He was an Indian writer famous for his modern Hindustani literature. He is one of the most celebrated writers of the Indian subcontinent and is regarded as one of the foremost Hindi writers of the early 20th century. Now we are going to watch a video to know the story in detail.
My big brother was 5 years older than me, but only 3 years ahead of me at school. He had begun school at the same age as I had, but he did not like to be in undue haste in such an important matter as education. He wanted to lay a very solid foundation so that a magnificent structure could be raised upon it. So he spent 2 years where only one was needed, and sometimes even 3. How can one raise a strong building on a weak foundation? I was 9 and he was 14. When he was in class 9, I was in class 5. It was his birthright to admonish me, and I was expected to accept his commands as the law. My elder brother was studious by nature, always glued to his books. I never felt at home with books. To sit with a book for an hour was like climbing a mountain. At the first opportunity, I would walk out of the hostel into the open ground and toss pebbles into the air or fly paper butterflies, and I felt happier still if I could find a companion. We would jump across the walls or ride upon the gates and swing them to and fro to enjoy a motor ride. But the moment I returned to the room, I would freeze in my tracks to see my brother's red face. His first question would be, "Where have you been?" Always the same question in the same tone. And my answer was silence. I don't know why I couldn't tell him that I had just gone out to play. My silence proclaimed that I'd accepted my crime, and my brother would greet me with indignant words. "If you study like this, you will learn nothing. Learning English is no child's play. Otherwise everybody and his cousin would be regular experts in English. You have to strain your eyes and drain your blood. Only then can one attain this knowledge. Even great scholars can't write correct English. And you are such a blockhead that you don't learn from my example. See how hard I work. Have you ever seen me going out to attend any shows and fairs? Even then I am stuck in each class for 2 to 3 years. You will fritter your whole life away studying in one class. Why waste father's hard-earned money?" Listening to this tongue-lashing, I would burst into tears. My brother was an expert at the art of giving advice. His pointed comments, like aphoristic arrows, would pierce my heart and demoralize me. I would sink into hopelessness and think of going home. Why should I waste my life doing something that was beyond my powers? My head would reel, but after a few hours, I would overcome this state of despondency and pledge to devote myself to studies. In no time, I would work out a timetable. The timetable: get up at 6 in the morning, wash, have breakfast, and sit down to study. English from 6 to 8, arithmetic from 8 to 9, history from 9 to 9:30, then food and to school. Return from school at 3:30, relax for half an hour, geography from 4 to 5, grammar from 5 to 6, a half-hour stroll in front of the hostel, then eat, translation from 8 to 9, Hindi from 9 to 10, miscellaneous subjects from 10 to 11, then sleep. But to make a timetable is one thing, to put it into practice another. The violation would begin on the very first day. The green fields, the gentle breeze, the run and chase in football, the speed and quickness in volleyball, all these would drag me out and I would forget everything. And my brother would get his opportunity to admonish and sermonize. Even then, I was not able to give up play. The annual examinations ended. My brother failed and I passed, securing the first position in the class. Now he was just 2 classes ahead of me. For a moment, I thought of giving him a piece of my mind, but he was so heartbroken that I sincerely sympathized with him, and I gained a certain amount of self-esteem. I began to participate freely in games and sports. If he tried to meddle, I would tell him plainly, I have obtained the first position even while playing and having fun. Even though I had not the courage to speak out with such insolence, it was clear from my demeanor and actions.
Okay. So, now we will discuss about the main characters in the story. We will first talk about the narrator. The timetable the narrator drew up for himself did not have a single hour for sports or recreation. Though in theory he intended to spend most of his time studying, in reality he spent all his time playing. The elder brother had only one thing on his timetable, and that is studying. He was always glued to his books. He never went out to play or to shows or fairs. How did the elder brother's sermon change when he failed for the first time? Before the examination, the elder brother lectured about how hard one must work in order to pass the exams. But after the first time he failed, his lecture offered Ravan's example. He said that pride caused the fall of even the greatest scholars. Passing the exam was not important, but gaining knowledge and acquiring wisdom was most important. What was the elder brother's reaction to failing for the second time? After he failed for the second time, the elder brother became more defensive. He told the narrator that no matter how successful one became, the elders who had seen more of the world would always have an upper hand. Hence, they could never be equals. He had to suppress his desires because he wanted to be a role model for his brother. He wanted to lead by example, which is why he never went out to play or to shows and fairs. He kept studying hard to inspire his brother. Now we are going to read one paragraph from the textbook. One evening, away from the hostel, I was running like mad to capture a free floating kite. My eyes were turned upwards and riveted on the air traveler that was reeling gently towards its downfall. unmindful of the things around. All of a sudden, I came face to face with my brother. He caught hold of my hand and then shouted, "Aren't you ashamed of running after a one paisa kite? You don't seem to care that now you are in class 8, just one class lower than me. A man should have some sense of his status. What use is intelligence if it destroys your self esteem? I'm 5 years elder to you, and even if you come to the same class as I, and with the present system of examinations, it is quite possible you would be my classmate next year, and even ahead of me the year after. Even God cannot close the 5 year gap between you and me. You cannot even match my experience of the world and life, even if you become an MA or a DPhil or DLit. One becomes wise not by reading books, but by seeing the world. Our mother never went to school, and our father perhaps didn't go beyond class 5. So here the elder brother tries to make the younger brother understand the importance of studies, importance of regular study habits. I was thoroughly ashamed by this new approach of his. I really became aware of my smallness, and I began to look upon him with reverence. With tearful eyes, I said, "Not at all. You have every right to say it." My brother embraced me and said, "I won't have stopped you from flying kites. I too long to fly them. But if I were myself to tread the wrong path, how would I stop you? Duty weighs upon my head. By chance, just at that very moment, a kite came floating over our heads. The end of its string was dangling just above us. My brother jumped and caught hold of the loose end of the kite string. Then he ran at top speed towards the hostel, and I ran behind him. So, this is the end of the lesson. Now, we will see a literary device used in the story, that is irony. Irony occurs when what actually happens turns out to be completely different from what would be expected. So, here in this lesson, we see, in spite of his studious nature, the elder brother failed his exams every time. So, here in this story, the writer has used the literary device, that is irony. So, what is irony? Irony occurs when what actually happens turns out to be completely different from what would be expected. So, here, in spite of the brother was studious in nature, but still he failed every time. So, this is an example of irony. The author conveys that his elder brother was not good at academics by using this literary device. In this story, humor has been used by the writer. The story is humorous in nature because it causes laughter and amusement. The story is humorous at several levels. It starts with the irony in the opening lines of the story, where the elder brother, who is studious, has to repeat his classes, and there we get a laughter by reading this. The author brings in humor through language as well as situations. Other situations like the narrator's timetable, the elder brother's ranting against the system, the fact that the elder brother fails in spite of his efforts and the younger one stands first in spite of his nonchalance are also humorous situations. We will learn about the values that the writer wants to talk to us. The elder brother. We see the elder brother is dedicated and he is a hard worker. In spite of his repeated failures, He does not give up. He is also a responsible person. He shoulders his responsibility as an elder brother. He teaches his younger brother the value of resilience and commitment. In the last line, the narrator runs after his elder brother. Up until that point in the story, their relationship is formal, but when they both run after the kite, they are almost equals. The formal relationship changes to a playful companionship. We know about the narrator. Narrator, he is a respectful person. He gives respect to his elder brother and he listens to his advice. So this was all about the story. Now let us see few new words from the lesson. Indignant, showing anger and surprise. Fritter, waste. Aphoristic, the use of a few words to convey much information or meaning. Despondency, loss of hope and courage. Violation, the act of refusing to honor an agreement. Sermonize, give a long lecture. Insolence, disrespectful behavior. Demeanor, outward behavior. Fluke, a piece of luck. Malefactor, a person who did something wrong. Despicable, deserving hatred or contempt. Upbraids, scolds. Riveted, fixed. So students, here we have come to an end of